ॐ अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ नमः परमऋषिभ्यो नमः परमऋषिभ्यः। ॐ नमः परमऋषिभ्यो नमः परमऋषिभ्यः। काश्यपान्वयसञ्जातं नारायणपदाश्रितं श्रीमन्नारायणं वन्दे यतीश्वरश्रियायशं। नीडातुङ्गस्तनगिरितटे सुप्तमुद्बोध्य कृष्णं पारार्ध्यं स्वं श्रुतिशतशिरःसिद्धमध्यापयन्ति स्वोच्छिष्टायां सृजनिगलितं यावलात्कृत्य भुङ्क्ते गोदा तस्यै नम इदमिदं भूय एवास्तु भूयः। Jai Srimanarayana. Today we will discuss about the 24th Pasuram. அன்னி உலகம் அளந்தாய் அடிப்போற்றி சென்னங்கு தென்னிலங்கை செற்றாய் திரள் போற்றி பொன்ன சகடம் உதைத்தாய் புகழ் போற்றி கண்ணு குடிரா எழுந்தாய் கடல் போற்றி குன்னு குடையாய் எழுத்தாய் குணம் போற்றி வெண்ணு பகைகெடுக்கும் நின் கைல்வேல் போற்றி என்னென்னும் சேவகமே ஏற்றிப் பறைகொள்வான் என்று யாம் வந்தோம் இரங்கேலோர் எம்பாவாய். This is the Pasuram for today. So,
Audience Swami. அன்றைய உலகம் அளந்தாயடே போற்றே சென்றெங்கு தென்னிலங்கை செற்றாய் திரள் போற்றே பொன்ன சகடம் உதைத்தாய் புகழ் போற்றே கண்ணு குணிலாய் எரிந்தாய் கழல் போற்றே
குன்று கூட யாவெடுத்தாய் குணம் போற்றி வென்று பகை கெடுக்கும் நின் கையில் வேல் போற்றி என்றென்றும் சேவகமே ஏற்றி பறை கொள்வான் என்றென்றும் சேவகமே ஏற்றி பறை கொள்வான் இன்று யாம் வந்தோம் இரங்கேலோரெம்பாவாய். ஆண்டாள் திருவடிகளே சரணம். அடியேன் சொல்.
ஆண்டாள் திருவடிகளே சரணம். So this is a very wonderful Pasuram. So in this particular Pasuram, Andal, she is trying to express a certain mood of protection for Perumal, right? So this is one of the feelings that a devotee would get when their devotion matures, right? Devotion is generally two-faced. There is Jnana Bhakti and there is Prema Bhakti. So in the Jnana Bhakti phase, one sees oneself as the protected and the Lord as the protector. But when that devotion matures to the point of Prema Bhakti, one forgets about the supreme nature of the Lord. One forgets about how much he is capable of doing. Even despite seeing all the wonderful things he has performed, still one will be just the nature of his beauty, the nature of his tenderness, his Saundaryam, Saukumaryam, some of these, characteristics of the Lord are so bewildering that one would want to offer Mangala Shasnams to the Lord. One would want to offer protection to the Lord. In fact, this is something we repeatedly see throughout the scriptures, right? At multiple places. Yashoda, for instance, when Krishna would just eat butter and cum, right, from somebody else's place, then, the butter would still be sticking, on his tongue and so on. It would still, some of that butter would be sticking and, this, it would be white and so on. But when somebody would question, Yashoda Devi would say, no, he's a small child. The thing that he has eaten yesterday night, it still hasn't digested. So that is the reason why the food, when he's belching, that food is coming out to his tongue. So it is yesterday nights, is what she would say. But she doesn't believe that, Krishna is capable of doing all these things. Similarly, Devaki Devi, when Narayana appeared along with his 4 arms, right, fully carrying his Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Changa, and all these Ayudhas, in his full glory as Narayana, she said, this Kamsa is going to, kill you, so please retract your arms. Don't tell him that you are Narayana. This is how her mood was, right? The citizens of Ayodhya constantly in a mood of prayer, right? That, Ramasyarthe sarvan devan namasyanti. Valmiki says that for the sake of Ramachandra, they would constantly keep praying to all the devatas so that Rama will be happy, right? He is actually well protected. Similarly, the citizens of Dwarka too, right? When Krishna went to get this Shamantaka money to the cave of Jambavan and he didn't come out for a significant number of days, they became concerned and they also started praying to the devatas for protecting Krishna. Even people like Vishwamitra, right? These are all ordinary citizens, okay? People who do not fully, we may say that motherly love or, things like that prevented them from understanding. But even jnanis, right? People who are completely knowledgeable about Paramatma's supreme nature, like Vishwamitra, when he first came to take Ramachandra from Dasaratha, Vishwamitra told him that this Rama is, just like Purusha Sukta mentions, Vedahametam Purusham Mahantam. In this way, he told Dasaratha that I know that this Ramachandra is none other than that Supreme Lord, Purusha, who is described in Purusha Sukta. He uses very similar words. He doesn't directly tell him. In other words, we know that Vishwamitra knows who he is. But despite that, when Rama came to the point of fighting Tataka, he himself says, Swasthi Raghavayorastu, that he wants to offer auspiciousness, protection, for Rama and Lakshmana as they were trying to, fight these demons, right? And people like Janaka too, they have already seen what Rama was capable of doing. By the time Rama came to Janaka's place, Maricha was thrown 900 miles south. Subahu was already defeated. Tataka was defeated. And Rama, he accomplished something that nobody else could accomplish. That was the breaking of the bow of Lord Shiva, right? Even after seeing all these things, as he was trying to give Sita Devi to Ramachandra, he said, Praticha ena bhadram te. He said, may you be protected. May auspiciousness be upon you. Even after seeing the valor of Ramachandra, Janaka felt, may he always be protected, right? Dasaratha too, right? When after seeing all these accomplishments, including the breaking of the bow, right? When Parasurama came on the way, they were going back to Ayodhya, right? From Sita Devi's place. When Parasurama came, he immediately sought protection of Parasurama, saying, he's Rama, he's just a small child, he's incapable of doing anything. Don't try to wage a war with him, right? In this way, he was saying. Kausalya Devi too, just like Yashoda Devi, Devaki Devi, and so on. When Rama was about to go to the forest, she literally invoked so much auspiciousness on Ramachandra that she almost said the Devatas, the Gandharvas, Kinnaras, Kimpurushas, Yakshas, the Dikpalakas, the different beasts that are present in the forest, the different directions, the different rutus, seasons, months, days, times. May all these different things that exist in this universe cause only auspiciousness to you, and may they all protect you. In this way, Kausalya Devi also, an entire chapter in Ayodhya Kanda is about how Kausalya Devi offers protection to Ramachandra, right? Invoking so many mangalams on Rama, right? Sita Devi too, right? Whenever, anything is about to happen, when Rama is about to go for coronation and so on, she was going on uttering auspicious words behind him so that auspiciousness may come to him. Similarly, when they were, taking the boat and going, she was praying to Godavari for protection. In this way, we repeatedly find people like Guha, for instance, they were so protective of Ramachandra that it's very interesting how they describe this, right? Lakshmana, he could not sleep during the night because he wanted to guard Rama and Sita as they were trying to sleep. But secretly, Guha was hiding behind the trees because Lakshmana was staying awake and he was just circumambulating Rama and Sita to make sure that no danger is coming from anywhere. Right? He was all awake, alert, fully alert. Guha hid behind the trees and he was pointing his arrow towards Lakshmana because Guha was suspecting Lakshmana that Rama came all alone and he's sleeping right now. He is incapable of protecting himself. So if this Lakshmana does anything to Rama, if at all he looks for a moment where by chance his arrow even comes in the direction of Rama, immediately I am going to hit this Lakshmana. In this way, Guha was protective of Ramachandra. What was even more funny was the citizens of Guha's place, Shringiverapuram, right? All those citizens, they were hiding behind the bushes because they were thinking, look at our leader Guha, right? He is trying to attack Rama and Lakshmana, so he's probably trying to do something nasty there. If at all, by any chance, his arrow gets released, we will be there to finish him off. In this way, they were trying to protect Ramachandra. In this way, everybody was trying to protect Ramachandra. Sages in Dandakaranya, these were not ordinary people. These sages know that Paramatma himself came in the form of Ramachandra. But they also, Mangalani Prayanjana, that they also sang so many Mangalams to Ramachandra when Rama came, right? Jatayu, when he was about to die, right? Rama comes to him. Jatayu also knows about all the exploits of Ramachandra, including the killing of 14,000 Rakshasas by that time, right? Still, he blesses, Rama saying, Ayushman, may you have a long life, may nothing happen to you, right? Sugriva, Hanuman, right? Hanuman too, when he first saw Ramachandra and saw that, all of his armors and he was without his armor and without his shields and all of these things, then he thought, such a tender body, what will happen to this body if all these things are removed? In this way, he was worried. That was the first emotion of Hanuman, was that, somebody's bad drishti may fall on Rama's tender body. So at least those armors and shields should be there to protect him. How come he has come like this? In this way, Hanuman was worried when he saw. Sugriva too, he was so protective of Rama that despite seeing Rama's heroic exploits, right? Sugriva's Chankitas Chasid Nityam Viryena Raghave says Ramayanam, that constantly he doubted Rama's ability to do anything in the beginning. He put him through so many tests. He said, can you, this Dundubi's body was very heavy, Vali, you could throw him off like this and so on. Could you lift this Dundubi's body? It's a dead body right now. Therefore, you were able to lift. Can you actually throw these trees down? In this way, Rama made 7 trees fall and touch the ground. In this way, so many times he tested Ramachandra. So he clearly knows. And Rama killed Vali. Vali was someone who couldn't be killed because he had that Indra's locket on him. So Vali couldn't be killed so easily. But even such Vali could be defeated by Rama. Despite seeing all these heroic exploits of Ramachandra, when Vibhishana came, Sugriva became very afraid because he was someone who came from the enemy's party. So he wanted to protect Ramachandra, and he said, don't accept him, send him away. Right? In this way, all these different people in the scriptures, right, we see that they were always in the mode of protecting Ramachandra or Krishna when they came, right? They were always singing Mangalams, that they were, and many of these people were great jnanis, including Hanuman, right? Hanuman, it is so told that he is someone who has studied all the 4 Vedas, right? Rama himself says that, looking at Hanuman, it appears as if this person has finished all the Vedas, right? He's an expert in all the Vedas. So in this way, these very knowledgeable people were the people who were singing Mangalam. In other words, they already moved from the phase of Jnana Bhakti to Prema Bhakti, right? Therefore, they were all able to, subdue their feeling of the supremacy of Rama, but the overwhelming emotion in their heart was the feeling of offering protection to Rama. Instead of feeling that he came to protect them, they were thinking that they had to offer protection to him because his form has so much Saukumaryam in him, so much tenderness, right? That is why even Alvars like Kulashekar Alvar and so on have always displayed the mood of protecting Rama as soon as something happens. And this is how we all should also feel in relation to Perumal, who has come in the form of Archa Murti, right? That on the one hand, people ask, why do they observe eclipses and so on? It's okay, eclipses and so on may be there for us, but why are there eclipses for Perumal, right? Why should the temple be closed? What will happen to him? In this way, people ask. When Perumal chose to come in a form that is made of materialistic substances, then one should observe the rules related to those substances, depending upon which form Perumal takes. And because he's Perumal himself, it is out of that overwhelming feeling of, protection of Perumal that we try to observe similar rituals in relation to the deities too, right? We can also consider ourselves to have moved from Jnana Bhakti to Prema Bhakti when we actually feel, when we are trying to eat something, immediately if we think that, has my Perumal at home eaten? Right? If you are somewhere outside, let's say, and we have to eat, right? When we immediately think, what about Perumal, right? Who is taking care of him, right? tonight I was not able to give him bath, or not able to feed him anything, at least milk. In this way, one should constantly keep thinking about Perumal. That's when, we can feel that, how that feelings of, we shouldn't think, he's just a photo or he's just a murti and so on. It's okay. What will happen? Big deal. In this way, one shouldn't think. Okay. One should constantly acknowledge that Perumal is none other than this Archa Murti that is present here is none other than Lord himself who has come in this form. Out of his great compassion, he has chosen to come to our homes, insignificant homes of insignificant people like me. He has come. So therefore, how grateful should I be that I have to, offer something to Perumal, that he has come like this, right? One should take care of him. Puranas say that one should take care of him like one takes care of a king. If a king arrives at your place, how will you serve him? In that way, one has to take care of Perumal, is what Puranas say. So that is how we all should feel in relation to Perumal. Of course, most of you are Bhagavatas, so all of you are already in that mode, but this is just in terms of remembering the principles. So now, in that mode, Andal, being the daughter of none other than the great Periyalvar, who had this mood of Pallandu towards Perumal, right? Constantly, he was, when Perumal became visible to him, he was afraid that something might happen to Perumal. So he was singing Mangalams to Perumal that may auspiciousness be on him. In this way, Andal too, in this particular Pasuram, she takes the mood of causing auspiciousness to Perumal. And it's a very interesting Pasuram, very beautiful Pasuram. At least one of my favorite. All Pasurams in Thiruppavai are interesting and beautiful, but this is one of my favorite Pasurams in entire Thiruppavai. So, with that special love, I'll try to see how much justice I can do to this Pasuram today, right? Andal willing. So, AnRivvulagam azhandAy adipotri. So, what she's trying to say here, it's very interesting, right? She says potri, 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 potri 6 times, she says in this particular Pasuram. Just like, the Shad Ruchis are something that, an ordinary samsari experiences with great joy. These kinds of, Adit poetry, Thiral poetry, Pugal poetry, Kadal poetry, Gunam poetry, Kailvel poetry. In this way, a person who has matured in Prema Bhakti, they experience the qualities of Paramatma, and protection to Paramatma is what they take relation. Like an ordinary samsari takes relation, the Shad Ruchis, right? So, very beautiful Pasuram. So, AnRivvulagam azhandAy adipotri. So, Anru means that day, Ulagam azhandAy means he measured this world with his adi, his Tiruvadi, right? His feet. In other words, that day means she is referring to the Vamana Avataram, where Perumal, he measured the entire worlds, all the worlds he measured with his feet, right? So now she is saying, Adipotri, may those feet of yours be forever protected, right? May auspiciousness be on those feet. This is her first feeling. Then, Chendra Angu Tennilangai Chetrai Thiral Potri. What she is saying is, Chenrangu means reaching there, reaching where? Tennilangai means that Lanka, which is in the southern direction. Chetrai Thiral Potri. He who destroyed that Ravana, may to the strength of that Rama, there be Pallandu, or may, the strength of Rama be with him forever and be protected. In this way, she is trying to sing. Then, Ponna Shagadam Udaitai Puhal Potri. And she is saying, Ponna means causing that to be deformed. What? Shagatam. Shagatam means the Shagatasura, right? The wheels of that particular cart under which Krishna was lying, right? He caused it to be deformed. How did he cause it to be deformed? By kicking with his feet, right? Udaitai, he kicked. Puhal Potri. May to the fame of that kicking, may that fame of yours be forever protected. In this way, she is trying to pray. Kanna Kunila Erindai Kadal Potri. Now what she is saying, Kanra means Vatsasura, right? But there is a certain Asura who came in the form of a calf, right? Kudila means considering it like a sling. Erindai, he who threw, he held the 4 legs of the Vatsasura and he whirled it around and he threw it at a tree. That was Kapitsasura, right? Kapitha means Kapitha means wood apple tree. Okay, so there was another asura who took shelter of the wood apple tree. So now Krishna destroyed both demons, both Vatsasura and Kapithasura, by rotating this Kapithasura and throwing it at Vatsasura. By rotating this Vatsasura and throwing it at Kapithasura. So in this way, he destroyed both demons. Now she's trying to remember that pastime and saying, Kadal Potri, may those lotus feet of yours be forever protected. Kunna Kudayai Eduttai Gunam Potri. Now what she is saying, Kunna means the hill called Govardhana. Kudayai, like an umbrella. Eduttai, he who lifted this Govardhana hill like an umbrella. Gunam Potri. May that quality with which he lifted it. What is that quality that is being meditated upon by Andal here? It's the Vatsalyam of the Lord. How exactly it is Vatsalyam, we will see. May that parental love, Vatsalyam of the Lord, be protected forever. Right? Venna Pagai nin kailvel potri. Now she is saying towards enemies, right? Pagai, towards enemies. Kedukkum venna. So winning over the enemies and defeating them. Then Kail Veil Potri. So how does he defeat his enemies? Using the veil that he carries, using the spear that he carries. Like all these Gopas, they are known for carrying spears with them. Right? And those spears are what they use to defeat any enemies. Even in the forest, when they go take the calves for grazing and so on, if any inimical animals come and so on to try to destroy those calves, then they try to scare them away or throw this veil at them, spear at them. In this way, they drive them away, right? And protect these calves. So in this way, she's trying to praise that spear, right? Then Kail Veil Potri. Now, Enrandrum Sevagame Etip Parakolvan. Now she is saying, Enrandra, in this way, Un Sevagame, your heroic exploits, Etri, we praise, Parakolvan. Why do we do it? To receive the Parai, right? In other words, that is not the reason why they are praising it. Externally, for the sake of the world, it appears as if they have come to do that, vratam to get rains, right? So that is the external reason why all these gopis have come. But internally, that's not the reason why they have come. Their end goal is to continue praising him. They love praising him. That's why they have come. So that's what they are expressing here. Innu yam vandom irangelor embavai. Indru, today, yam vandom, we came. Irangu, please grace us. Elor embavai. In this way, Andal is trying to express. Why did she get into this mood in this Pasuram? What is the connection to the previous Pasuram? In the previous Pasuram, they have requested Krishna to come out. He was still sleeping. They asked him to come out and sit on the asanam, simhasanam, right? On the throne, so that they could actually petition their desire in front of him. So as he was trying to walk, he walked apparently. He came out, he walked, and now he sat on the throne. In the process of his walking and sitting there on the throne, apparently he sat in such a way that he put one of his feet on his other foot, and he was sitting with one of his feet hanging on the ground, right? They noticed his feet, and his feet were so red that the moment they saw the redness in his feet, immediately they got took over by, a feeling of protection. They started meditating on what must have happened to Perumal as he walked all the way from his home to this Simhasanam. His feet are so tender already that even Mahalakshmi, as she's trying to press them, she presses them very, very carefully. She is already, such a tender lady, right? Mahalakshmi herself is like, so many Padmas are used to describe her, right? But that Mahalakshmi, whose every part of her body is compared to pretty much a lotus, such a tender Mahalakshmi, when she is trying to press the feet of Paramatma, she becomes very, afraid that she might, accidentally hurt him. That is how much more tender his feet are. Now, such feet appear to these gopikas very, very red in color, right? His feet are naturally red. Now, seeing that redness in his feet, they immediately remembered all the things that happened to these feet. So many things have happened to these feet. Now, such feet, instead of we going and talking to him, we have come all the way here. We could have just gone and talked to him, but we have requested him to come all the way there. How much he got hurt by walking all the way to the throne and sitting there. We shouldn't have hurt him unnecessarily like this. Acho, what happened to his feet, right? In this way, they were actually thinking, right? And then they started remembering all the things that he accomplished with those feet. what did he do? Right? That day, right? Under that particular day in Vamana Avataram, what did he do? He measured all the worlds with his feet, right? It is very interesting. Like throughout Thiruppavai, she keeps remembering these interchangeably. She keeps remembering all these avatarams. Vamana Avataram also, this is almost the third time she's remembering, right? Once in the third Pasuram, once in the 17th Pasuram, now in the 24th Pasuram again, she's remembering this Vamana Avataram. Because there is something in common to Krishna Avataram, right? Between Vamana Avataram and Krishna Avataram, the common attribute is Saulabhyam. Saulabhyam means accessibility. Accessibility without making any distinction between an ashrita and an anashrita, right? Irrespective of whether someone sought him or did not seek him, Paramatma equally showers his grace upon everybody. In Krishna Avataram, he made himself accessible to even people who hated him, people who were neutral to him, or people who loved him. To everybody, he equally made himself accessible. He did not show any distinction. In terms of accessibility, Rama was not so much accessible because he was Chakravarti Thirumagan, right? He was, the son of a king. So he was somewhere inside, and so many checks and security checks and all those had to be conducted to send someone to him. That was not the case with Krishna Avatar. Every day he would go out, he would roam here and there, He was completely accessible in Krishna Avatar. Similarly, Vamana also, when he extended his feet, right, he made his feet accessible to the entire universe, to all the lokas, devatas, manushas, tiryaks, thavaras, all kinds of species, right? And in the process, what happened to the Lord's feet is what they were starting to meditate upon. What is the greatness of the Lord's feet? Greatness of his feet in Vamana Avataram was that, those feet were the feet that were responsible for destroying Bali's ahankaram. Bali was thinking that that entire kingdom belonged to him. Bali was thinking that he was the owner of that kingdom. Bali was thinking that he was the one who was going to donate it. These kinds of feelings in Bali, which were a result of Kartrutva Ahankaram and Bhoktrutva Ahankaram. Kartrutva Ahankaram means thinking that he is the doer, thinking that he has to give it, right? It was his charity that Vamana had to get. That was Kartrutva Ahankaram. And also he had this Ahankaram that kingdom belonged to him. All these ahankarams were destroyed by the feet of the Lord in Vamana Avatar, right? He showed that he is the performer and he is the owner, true owner of everything. He showed that he is the true owner of the entire universe by extending his feet all the way through all the lokas. He showed that it is he who pervades everywhere in the universe. So which devata pervades the entire universe? It is Narayana. Right? Through Vamana Avataram, very clearly he is establishing that he who pervades the entire universe is himself. Right? So now these feet, which are so tender, what would have happened to those feet? Because it is with those feet, as he was trying to extend to all the lokas, there could have been so many thorns and stones and, dry grass and tree branches and, those feet could have, touched even asuras and so on, and harmful creatures like scorpions and snakes, which could have tried to bite those feet, or these inimical people. As he was trying to extend those feet, some of Bali's soldiers and so on, they became very agitated, right? As soon as a hero tries to enter a villain's place or something, all those people around him, they'll immediately come, right, thinking that they can fight the hero. Similarly, those people all came, so they must be releasing arrows at him, they must be releasing spears at him, right, or swords at him. So they must be attacking him. So many things he had to go through. So they were feeling very bad that he came to do good to the world, but as a result of his extending his feet across the length and breadth of the universe, his feet had suffered so much in the process, thinking that, and they were also worried about another thing. His feet suffering is one thing, but nobody sang Mangalam for those feet. This was other thing that bothered them, right? That at least if at that time some sages or someone sang Mangalam to those feet, it would have been different, right? At the end of it, at least there was a certain sarthakata for the purpose. That means ultimately there was some benefit by extending his feet. What was it? Brahma, he washed those feet, and Lord Shiva, he sprinkled those waters on his head, right? In this way, there was some benefit to the world, right? But other than that, there was no specific mangalams that anybody sang, and this is what concerned them. So therefore, they remembered those feet. These same feet were those feet at that time which suffered so much in Vamanavataram, and nobody sang mangalam about them. So therefore, AnRivvulagam adandai adipotri, they were singing about those feet, right? Next, Chend Anga Tennilangai Shetrai Tiral Potri. Now they were singing about what happened. It is these feet, the pain that these feet underwent in the Ramavatara was much more compared to the pain that these feet underwent in the Vamanavatar. Why? What is the difference? In the Vamanavataram, he only took 3 steps with those feet. But in the Ramavataram, to travel all the way from Ayodhya to Lanka, he must have traveled at least, based on today's calculations, 2,500 kilometers. He must have traveled. 2,500 kilometers, if we assume his height is the average height of today, 6 feet, a 6-feet man traveling 2,500 kilometers, it takes about 3 million steps. So where is 3 steps versus 3 million steps? So how much more pain he went through? Of course, Rama's height, if we take it to be 12 foot, then it could come down to about 2 million steps, right? Depending upon how much longer steps he takes, right? And his length of feet also slightly increases. So because of that, somewhere between 2 to 3 million steps he must have taken. At least 1.7 million steps is the lower bound, right? So these many steps he has taken. So one can only imagine. And how did he take those steps? He didn't even have his padukas, right? Those padukas were taken away from him. In fact, to protect those feet, right, as Rama, he was preparing himself to go to the forest. Sita Devi says that there'll be so many thorns and stones and, blades of grass that will be sticking. So, agrataha te gamishyami mrudnanti kushakantakan, she says that I will walk in front of you, Rama, with my feet. Sita Devi is saying this. She herself is a very tender lady. Sita Devi never even came out of her palace previously, right? In the Ayodhya Kanda and other places, it's described that her nature is that she never even came out of that palace. So that lady is saying, I will walk in front of you. With my walking, I'll crush those things so that by the time you put your foot on them, it'll be soft for you. This is what she was telling him. She was afraid that he cannot walk like that, right? And that too, as he was trying to be in the forest, his footwear were also, his sandals were taken away by Bharata. Now with those, now we can imagine to walk across all the way through those forests, through those stones and mountains and so on. These days they get trekking boots and hiking boots and all those things to do that trekking and hiking and everything. But throughout Kishkinda Kanda, literally they were on mountain ranges and all of that. But all of that Rama had to go barefoot, right? Maybe even if we think that some sandals were arranged for him, some other things were there, it is not easy to do that because it was exposed. His feet were exposed. It's not like they were closed. They had all grooves and so on, right? And what was even worse was traveling to Lanka, right? It's not easy to travel on those stones, right? Some of us, many of us have been to beaches, right? And there'll be in some of these beaches, there'll be stones, right? Slight stone ways. So if we try to walk on those stones, it's not easy to put from our one foot and to other, from one stone to another, to put our feet is not easy. They can be very, very slippery. They can be very, very sharp. So carefully one has to walk. So one can only imagine how much the Lord must have gone through trouble in terms of just walking, right? To walk on all these rocks itself is not easy, right? So this itself was a very difficult task. So compared to Vamanavatara, in Ramavatara, he walked so much more. This is point number 1. Point number 2, in Vamanavatara, the defeat was rather simple. Why? With his little Vakchaturyam, with his little Madhuryam, cuteness, Saundaryam, he defeated Bali. He spoke a few sweet words. Bali got impressed. Over. Done. Deal was over. But in Ramavatara, it wasn't that easy, right? Ravana was not so easy to subdue, right? So many things had to be done. First, the entire Lanka had to be destroyed. Then his soldiers had to be destroyed. His ministers had to be destroyed. His children had to be killed. His own brother Kumbhakarna had to be killed. One brother had to be taken away from him, and the entire city had to be burnt. And then, his own chariot was destroyed. His own charioteer was destroyed. His bow was destroyed. Even after all these things happened, Ravana did not make himself subordinate to Rama. He did not, yield to Rama, right? Even after all these things, Rama still gave a chance to Ravana, saying, if you want, you can go and come. In this way, why Rama here too, right? He was very much. So it took a lot of prowess of Rama. It took a lot of bhujabalam until Rama had to apply his strength of his arms. Ravana could not be defeated. His forgiving nature did not work with Ravana. His cuteness or sweetness did not work with Ravana. Nothing worked with Ravana. Only his prowess worked. So therefore, they were singing the praise of the prowess here. They were saying, Thiral Potri, may that strength of yours be forever protected. In this way, they were trying to sing. And what was even more, in Vamana Avatara, like we discussed previously, Vamana could at least establish his supremacy, right? By showing his all pervasiveness across the entire length and breadth of the universe, by, making Brahma wash those feet and Shiva putting those, waters on his head, at least his supremacy got established. But in Ramavatara, that same Brahma and Shiva, they came and told, you are the supreme, but Rama said, no, Atmanam Manusham Manya Ramam Dasarathatmajam. He was not even willing to accept his supremacy in Ramavataram. Why? Because he still had unfinished tasks in Ramavataram. He still had to rule for few more years, right? A long span of years. So the amount of effort he undertook in Ramavatara was just much, much more, significantly more compared to Vamanavatar. And he had to display a lot of prowess to subdue Ravana. So one thing is defeating all the things before defeating Ravana. This is one thing. But do we know how much powerful Ravana was? He was an extremely powerful person that the Devatas, with their tapashaktis, all the weapons, they were releasing all kinds of weapons and arrows towards Ravana. But it is described that Ravana, the way he was receiving those weapons were like, if he was playing in waters along with women and those women would splash drops of water on him, how nice it would be on him. That is how he was feeling when Devatas were releasing arrows at him. Then we can imagine how much powerful Ravana was. He was definitely not an ordinary person, because it is said that he even shook an entire mountain, on which Lord Shiva was present. But Shiva, of course, taught him a lesson at that point. That was another story. But Vedanta Desikan, very beautifully, he tells, we don't have to wait until Yuddhakanda. We don't have to maintain that suspense to understand whether Ravana will be defeated by Rama or not. That is established right in Balakanda itself. How? In Raghuvira Gadyam, Vedanta Desikan says, very beautifully, he says, who was this Ravana? Ravana was someone who was defeated by Kartavirya Arjuna. Who was this Kartavirya Arjuna? He was someone who was defeated by Parashurama. Who was this Parashurama? He was someone who is defeated by Rama. So now, if Rama could defeat Parashurama, who could defeat Kartavirya Arjuna, who could defeat Ravana, can Rama not defeat Ravana by transitive property? Yes. So there itself it is established that Rama is capable of defeating Ravana. So Rama could defeat Parashurama at a very tender age of 12. Then we can imagine how much more powerful Rama was. So to that power of Rama, may all auspiciousness be there. What is the difference between what Perumal accomplished in Vamana versus Rama Avataram? In Vamana Avataram, he defeated Ahankaram, right, of Bali, right? But Ahankaram, once it is defeated in us, there is no guarantee that it will rise again. So therefore, the source of the Ahankaram, which is the mind, has to be defeated. That is what he accomplished in Ramavatar, right? We all learned how Ravana represents the mind, the body represents the Lanka, and the Sita Devi who was caught there represents the Jivatma, right? This Rama alone, Perumal alone has to subdue Ahankaram in us. Perumal alone has to subdue the cause of Ahankaram, which is the Manas. Right? Once this Manas is subdued, because if Manas is not subdued, even if Ahankaram is subdued once, it might rise again on another occasion. So the mind, which is the source of ahankaram, has to be subdued. So that also he himself has subdued. This is what they were trying to meditate upon, right? See, look at the beautiful connection from the previous to this one, right? The subduer of ahankaram, subduer of the cause of ahankaram, which is the mind, right? Now, after this, they were trying to remember something that was even more dangerous than this particular Ramavatar. What was it? Krishna Avataram. Even more danger came to him. Why? Why did even more danger come to him? What happened in Krishna Avataram? In Ramavataram, at least he got some time, right? He spent his childhood properly, happily. Then he learned all Astra Vidya and Shastra Vidya from Vishwamitra, right? He got good internship experience under Vishwamitra, right? Under his guidance, he did some practicals there. He killed Putana, and then he defeated Subahu, and he threw Maricha 900 miles south. Before he killed 14,000 Rakshasas, right? All of these things happened before he finally killed Ravana. So at least he had some sufficient time. But in Krishnavataram, the danger was lurking around him right from the time he was born. Even before he was born, danger was lurking around him. At least that was not the case with Ramavataram. Although Ravana knew that Vishnu would appear to kill him, right? Ravana did not know where he would appear. He made some attempts in beginning. He tried to stop the marriage of Dasaratha and Kausalya. And he thought the task was accomplished. If they don't marry, Ravana was even more intelligent than Kamsa. Kamsa let the marriage happen, let them have children, and finally he wanted to kill them. Ravana was even more intelligent. He thought, what if these people, I don't even let these people marry? If they don't even marry, there is no question of begetting children. Then where is the question of anybody being born, in order to attack me? In this way, Ravana was thinking. So he didn't even let them marry, right? That was another story. But at least in Ramavataram, he had that time. But in Krishnavataram, all these demons started coming to him right from day one, right? So on 21st day, the Shakatasura came. And when he came, Krishna was still a child. He was a baby. 21st day baby, we can imagine, right? Yashoda, she literally placed that child under a cart, and she went and she was conversing with some other gopikas, and she was engaged in some other task, right? He was just placed under that cart so that he was protected. Now this children, naturally, they beat their legs into the air. That's what this child was doing, and he was crying. So in Ramavatara, he was in an age where he could protect himself. In Krishnavatara, he was not even in an age where he could protect himself. But in such situation, who protected Krishna? It is his lotus feet that protected Krishna, right? So it is very interesting that his lotus feet protect him also. They are not only a source of shelter for all of us, but his lotus feet are a protection for him too, right? This is what the Shakatasura pastime is particularly telling us, the killing of Shakatasura, right? His lotus feet are protection for him too, right? And what is so special about, this is one speciality about his lotus feet. Therefore, they are famous. The second reason they are famous, here they are singing the fame associated with the lotus feet of Krishna, which helped him kill Shakatasura, right? That is the fame of them, right? The second fame is that we all know how tiny the feet of babies are. 21-day-old babies, how tiny will their feet be? Such a tiny foot was capable of protecting the Supreme Lord, right, from a great demon. So this is the fame associated with those feet. Now imagine at such a, in Vamanavataram, at least his feet, they were of the size of the universe, right? At least of that size, very big size, right? If not the size of the universe, at least 1/3 or 1/4 the size of the universe. If we look at the, top disk or something of the universe, maybe, right? So at least his feet were so big enough that they could tolerate a few things. But in Krishnavataram, they were tender feet. Already his feet are very tender, but here there are even more tender feet of a baby, right? Now such feet were capable of accomplishing this. How much more, these feet were capable of enduring at such a tender age. Thinking this, these gopis wanted to offer Mangala Shasnam to those feet, right? The fame of those feet, right? This is the fame of those feet, that they not only protect us, but also protect the Lord. The Lord's Sri Padam or Tiruvadi are protection for him also, right? What is so special about these feet? What is Shakatasura? Who is Shakatasura? Shakatam means Sham Katati iti Shakataha. Sham means Sukham, happiness. Katati means that which cuts off happiness. It doesn't let us experience happiness. Shakatam means this body. It is this body which is a result of karma, right? This body which is a result of karma is such that it does not let us experience unlimited happiness. That is what the jiva wants to experience. But this body is limiting in nature, right? We can eat 5 gulab jamuns, we can eat 10 gulab jamuns, but if we are asked to eat 50 gulab jamuns, we'll start puking out, right? So we can tolerate a certain amount of cold. It is enjoyable. But if we are placed in frigid, freezing cold on the, on the coldest day outside for 30 minutes, we'll be frozen completely. We'll get frostbite, right? So the cold is also not enjoyable. We may want to eat very hot things, but what if those things are hot to the extent that they are burning us? Then we don't enjoy it. So nothing in this world is enjoyable. In other words, completely long-lasting enjoyment is not possible in this world. Why? Because the body that we got is limiting in nature. It will limit the amount of happiness that we can experience. Therefore, it is called Shakatam, right? What does this body? This body is a vehicle, right? Just like that cart was a vehicle on which Shakatasura, this particular Asura, he assumed that cart, right, to kill Krishna. Similarly, this body is also a vehicle. The Upanishads say, Shariram Rathamevacha, that this body is a vehicle, like a chariot, right? When you say it is a vehicle has to move on wheels. So what are the wheels on which this vehicle moves on? Punya and Papa are the wheels on which this vehicle moves on. Okay, so this vehicle moves on Punya and Papa as the wheels. These wheels were the things that Krishna destroyed. In other words, the Punya and Papa karmas, the karmas are the thing that are responsible for the mind to behave like that. If the mind behaves like that, then ahankaram takes over. So one thing is to defeat ahankara, which he accomplished in Vamanavataram. The next thing is to defeat the cause of ahankaram, which is the manas, which he defeated in the Ramavataram. Now he is defeating the cause of this avidya that has taken over this manas, which is karma. So that punya and papa karmas is what he is defeating in the Krishna Avataram through the Shakatasura pastime. So, in other words, this has even more fame compared to the previous avatarams because this is capable of destroying karmas also. His Tiruvadi are such that those Tiruvadi, they are capable of removing our punya and papa karmas. They are capable of removing the karmas associated with this body, right? That is the glory of those feet. So it is that glory that they are trying to cause auspiciousness to by praying for the protection of that glory of the feet, right? That is this particular line. Kandra Kunila Edindai Kadal Potri. Now they are saying, they are talking about Kandra, means Vatsasura. Okay, something that was even more dangerous than Shakatasura. Why is it even more dangerous than Shakatasura? Because at least until this point, there was only a single demon that was coming. Here, in this particular pastime, at once 2 demons came. Now, because Krishna was able to protect himself somehow or the other, the outcome was good. What if Krishna is unable to protect? What would have happened to Krishna, right? If he was not able to do. Otherwise, what would have they done to Krishna? In this way, they were feeling very bad. 2 demons came at once. Oh, in this way, they were saying, right? So here, what happened? One demon assumed. So Krishna at that time, he was under a certain wood apple and he was trying to tend the calves, right? One of the demons assumed the form of a calf, that was Vatsasura. The other demon assumed a tree that Krishna was trying to take shelter of, that was Kapithasura, right? So now what did Krishna do? When he realized this Vatsasura, he held that Vatsa with its legs, he whirled it round and round and he threw at this Kapitha. So both of them got killed, right? This is what this particular pastime signifies, right? Now, what do this Vatsasura and Kapithasura indicate, right? Kapithasura represents smell or impressions. Vatsasura represents taste or ruchi. So ruchi and vasanas are the 2 things that Vatsasura and Kapithasura represent. Why? Kapitha or wood apple is famous for its smell. When wood apple is present, immediately we'll feel that smell. Smell means vasanas, impressions, right? So, although ahankara is subdued, although the mind is subdued, although the karmas are removed, the ruchi and vasanas do not go away. Krishna may destroy the karma, but even if the punya karma or papa karma is destroyed, the vasanas still remain. He himself says, right? Rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate, he says in the Bhagavad Gita, that only when one experiences the Supreme Lord, then even these impressions go away. Right? Otherwise, he says that Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Even though a person is separated from sense objects temporarily, although those karmas are defeated, right? The impressions still remain in the mind. So those impressions also have to be removed. So this killing of Vatsasura and Kapithasura are referring to removal of those impressions from us. That also Krishna alone has to do. So this is trying to teach us, how each of these is more dangerous than the other, right? Having ahankara is one thing, but the manas, which is the root cause of ahankara, is even more dangerous. The avidya or karma, which is the root cause of that mind, is even more dangerous. The vasanas, which are responsible for all these things, are even more dangerous. In the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna puts everything on these vasanas, saying, a man is verily his vasanas, he says in the 17th chapter, that whatever this swabhava that a person is carrying, right, these impressions that a person is carrying, that is verily him, he says. So those impressions are really the thing that have to be removed. So that is what he's trying to indicate using, Andal is trying to indicate using, is killing of Vatsasura and Kapithasura, right, in this particular pastime. Next, Kunnu Kadayai Eduttai Gunam Potri. Now she is talking about the lifting of Govardhana hill. How did he lift? Like an umbrella, he lifted it. Why did he lift? Because he had a certain quality called Vatsalyam. It's very interesting, Now, if in all the previous cases, the enemies were outside, like Ravana, Vatsasura, Kapithasura, Shakatasura, all these were enemies that were outside. They were anashritas. They were outright rakshasas. So therefore, killing them was okay. But how could you kill someone who is an ashrita? Indra is his own devotee, right? For the time being, Rajoguna took over him, Tamoguna took over him, he behaved in an improper way. But Indra is in a very high position in the universe, right? And he cannot be, ill-treated by Krishna. He has to act in a very carefully considered manner, right? Similarly, all the Gopas and Gopis in Vrindavana, they were also his own people. Now, this is the case where, when Indra attacked him, it was like, in certain movies, in the climax scene we are shown, right? The hero keeps fighting all the villains. At that time, the heroine herself comes and, stabs the hero from behind. And the hero's reaction is, you are doing this. Because it's the heroine, he can't say anything. Or it's the heroine's brother who is doing it. Or one of the very close friends of the hero does it. He backstabs him in some way. Backstabbing can happen in many ways, but in principle, that's what they do. In the climax scene, they show that. In this way, here, Indra is someone who is related. Then the hero, although until that point, he keeps defeating everybody, he keeps killing them. When this person does, the hero is incapable of doing anything. Why? Because he's related to him. That relationship comes in front of him. Therefore, he's unable to do anything. Just like the way he defeated the other people, right? In a similar way, here too, it is Indra. Indra is none other than, one of his dear children who is ruling the Devatas, right? He is in such a high position. But here Indra is misbehaving. Why? Because his hunger wasn't satisfied, right? Indra was going to be offered certain things. Krishna stopped those offerings because Indra had a problem. Just like when a child has indigestion problem, the child may not understand, but the mother will stop feeding the child until the problem is cured. In that duration, out of restlessness and hunger, the child may throw tantrums. He may try to beat the other children. He may try to beat the mother. But the mother is very patient in such circumstances, displays a lot of vatsalyam, lot of parental affection, because of which the mother tries to, control the child and separates the other children and protects the children, protects herself and protects this child also. So in a carefully considered manner, Krishna has to act. So it is one thing to defeat external enemies. It is another level altogether to defeat internal enemies, right? Indra here is representing a certain form of bhoktrutva ahankaram. What is this bhoktrutva ahankaram? Thinking that everything is meant for his enjoyment. He is thinking that he is the person to be worshipped. Who is the person to be worshipped? It is Narayana who is the person to be worshipped at all times, right? That is what Krishna wanted to prove to Indra, that it is me who is to be worshipped, not you. You have been taken over by pride. You are just someone placed by me in that position. Isn't that true? Previously, in the Vamana Avataram, Indra came begging to Vishnu, saying, my entire Amaravati had been taken away by these demons, asuras. You please somehow help me in this. In this way, he was the one who came to their rescue. In the Kurma Avataram, when these devatas were suffering so badly in the hands of the asuras and they were helpless, they approached him and he was the one who helped them and got Amrita for them so that they get some life. It's like some medicine that they can take so that their bodily strength increases, right? In this way, he protected them so many times. But without any gratitude, Indra is thinking that he is the ultimate enjoyer. He is the one, Krishna is the one who gave all the devatas their posts. But very often, these devatas forget that thing that, he is the one who has given them that post. He is the Supreme Lord. They think that they are the Supreme. They think that everything is meant for their enjoyment. This is what Govardhanam teaches. What is the lifting of Govardhanam hill? By externally lifting that hill, he has protected his people. He has also protected Indra until his pride subdued. And then finally, Indra came and surrendered to Krishna. But what is this lifting of Govardhanam hill? Go means sound. Kai, gai, shabde. Go means sound. Vardhanam means expansion. Expansion of sound means expansion of the meaning of a certain word. When we say a tree, what are we trying to indicate? We are not trying to indicate the external structure. That meaning of that word is expanding all the way to the jiva within that tree. It is not stopping there. The meaning of that word is extending all the way to the Paramatma who is present as the Antaryami of that jiva within that tree. It is that Paramatma who is called Shabdatigaha, Shabda Sahaha, right? Vishnu Sahasranamam says he is Shabda Sahaha. That means using every sound, he is the one who responds, right? He is the one who is present inside everything. So using every sound, he is the one who responds to everything. So when we say Indra, it is not referring to the body of Indra. It is not referring to the Jivatma who is present inside that body called Indra. It is referring to Paramatma who is present inside that Jivatma called Indra. So the word Indra refers to Narayana alone. Therefore, Indra also appears as one of the names in Vishnu Sahasranamam. Right? When we say Rudra, Rudra does not refer to the external form of Rudra. It refers not to the Jiva who is present inside that body. It refers to Narayana who is present as the Antaryami of Rudra. The Mahabharatam says, Vishnu's Chatma Bhagavato Bhavasyamita Tejasaha. When he was in the Tripurantaka pastime, right? Narayana himself, he took 3 forms externally, at least it's described. He became the Antaryami. He is always the Antaryami of Rudra, but as the Antaryami of Rudra, he strengthened Rudra's ability, says Mahabharatam. As the tip of the arrow, Vishnu entered the tip of the arrow so that the arrow is capable of hitting the target, the Tripurasuras. Vishnu also became a bull and he lifted the chariot that Brahma was driving on which Shiva was present. Right? This chariot got sunk. Vishnu became a bull and lifted this chariot also. In this way, he supported the entire pastime. Right? In other words, when we say Brahma, who is the person who is being referred to? It is Narayana alone. So in this way, all words ultimately, yo devanam namadha eka eva. Using the names of all devatas, only one person is actually being referred to in truth. But sometimes these devatas, they falsely think that it is meant for their enjoyment. and they get disturbed if something that is meant for them is stopped. It is truly not meant for them. In fact, just like when we receive something, we have to show it to Narayana and accept as his prasadam, because everything actually belongs to him. He is the true enjoyer of things. But sometimes we forget that. When we get things, we think this is for my enjoyment, we immediately eat it without offering to Paramatma. Similarly, sometimes even these devatas, they forget that when all these offerings keep coming to them, they think that their position is very high and it is all meant for their enjoyment. So that is the mood in which Indra was at that time. So that is what Paramatma wanted to control. So therefore, he wanted to show how these offerings are meant for him, Narayana, who is the Antaryami of this Indra. He is the true Yajna Bhuk, right? He is the one, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, says Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. He is the true Bhokta of all Yajnas. So that is the point he was trying to teach Indra. So that is the meaning of this Pasuram. That he is the one who even not only defeats external enemies like this, but with his skill, with his parental love, he also is capable of removing these internal enemies like this Bhoktrutva Ahankaram and all these things that are present inside us, right? Venpagai kadukkum nin kailvel potri. Now they are trying to say that they are getting very protective of Paramatma. So far, after singing so much, auspiciousness, to Paramatma, they were afraid that by meditating too much on him, their own drishti may fall on him and something might happen to him. Or if they are singing so much about him, then everybody's attention will be on him. So somebody's drishti may fall on him. So they wanted to divert that to the spear that was with him. All the time, like Periyalvar, what does he say? Aidamum Palland, he says that, Paramal has the disc, Sudarshana Chakra. So he's saying, thinking that, may the attention from Perumal be diverted to some of these things, because Perumal may be protected. In fact, these Ayudhams are there to protect Perumal, right? They get their glory because of Perumal. It's not that they can protect Perumal, right? But at least they are in that position physically, that they are in the position of protecting Perumal. So here too, Perumal is carrying that veil, that spear in his hand, because just like when animals come, some inimical animals come, these Gopabalas, they try to protect these calves from those animals, right? So using that spear. So here, these Andal and so on, they are trying to meditate on that veil. May the spear in your hand be forever protected. In other words, they are trying to give that glory to that spear in his hand so that Perumal is protected, right? Everybody's drishti may not fall on Perumal, right? So they are saying it is the glory of the spear. In other words, it's the glory of your bow. It is the glory of your nails. It is the glory of Sudarshana Chakram. It is the glory of, in each of these avatarams, Perumal is having certain instruments with which he's trying to do. So they are trying to divert everybody's attention to the instruments so that people's attention may not fall on Perumal, right? That their drishti may not fall on Perumal. So this is another level of thinking about how they feel like they want to protect Perumal, how possessive they are of Perumal, and how much they want to protect Perumal, right? Now they are saying, these girls, why are they trying to praise Paramatma? We have discussed already that it is not to get some external instrument for him. That is only for the sake of the world, for the sake of the villages, right? Because their intent is somehow or the other to unite with him. The thing that gives them happiness is, for them, this is not, singing about him is not a means to get something. For them, singing about him is the end. That is the means and that is the end. Just like Perumal is the means and Perumal is the end, singing about him is the means and singing about him is the end. They are not trying to sing about him to get something from him, right? That is why they are just singing his heroic deeds. Why are they singing his heroic exploits? Because these are weak girls. For them, his heroism, when they think about his heroism, that is what gives them strength. That the valor of Paramatma is what protects them. So this is why they are meditating on this. Another thing is they are saying un sevagame. That means by saying right, your heroic exploits, they are trying to establish that in all these previous lines, they shifted from Vamana Avataram to Rama Avataram to Krishna Avataram. In other words, they are trying to tell us that this Rama, Krishna and Vamana are all one and the same. Just because he takes different avatars doesn't make him a different person. He who is taking all these avatars is one and the same, right? They are all his swamsas, right? In all his swamsas, he is the same, right? All forms of God are equivalent. They are not different, is what they are trying to establish. Innu yaam vandom irangelor empavai. Indru, today itself, we have come. Today we have come. Please grace us. Why today? Today is significant because tomorrow we don't know what our mood will be. We do not know whether we'll be in the same mood or not, whether we'll be in the mood of wanting you or not. So when we are in that mood, when we are desiring you, please come and grace us. This is what they are saying. Yam vandom, we came. We coming is also significant. Why? Because coming is really against the nature of prapannas. It is your duty to come for our sake. You have to come and take us. Just like Rama himself came to take Sita Devi. He walked so many steps. He took so much effort to save Sita. Protecting Sita Devi is not her own responsibility. It is Rama's responsibility because she is the property and he is the owner. Similarly, we are the property and you are the owner. It is not the property's responsibility to come back to the owner. It is the owner's responsibility to protect the property. So therefore, it is your nature to come, but despite that we have came. We have come. Do you know why? Because we were feeling restless. We were unable to tolerate separation from you. Therefore, we have violated our dharma and we still came to you. And you have come all the way for Sita Devi's sake. You know, Vamana came all the way for Bhudevi's sake. Why? For seeking a piece of land back from Bali, he had come, right? Similarly, in all his avatars, Varaha Avatara came for Bhudevi, right? Rama Avatara came for Sita Devi. In this way, for those Devi's sake, you have traveled so much. But in our case, we ourselves came to you. We don't even want to give you any trouble. Can you please respond to us? Can you please grace us? In this way, they are trying to pray. Then they are saying, Irang, please grace us. Our coming is not the means. Ultimately, your grace is the means. You are the means. It is not us or anything that we do or our glorification of your heroic deeds or our coming to you. None of these are the means. It is you and your grace which is the final means for our deliverance. So please show that grace on us and deliver us. In this way, they were trying to meditate on different things related to Paramatma. They were trying to glorify the feet of Paramatma that have measured the entire universe. By this, they were trying to, meditate on Paramatma's ability to remove ahankaram in us, right? Then they were trying to meditate on, the feet of Paramatma that have carried him all the way to Lanka and the strength with which he defeated Ravana, right? It is that strength of Rama which was capable of defeating Ravana, right? In other words, it is that strength of Paramatma which is capable of subduing the mind, right? This is what they were trying to describe using this. Then, Ponna Sagadamudaitai Puhal Potri. They were trying to describe how it is those feet of Paramatma which are capable of removing the Punya and Papa karmas associated with this body. Why even Punya karma has to be removed? Because for us to get moksham, both Punya karma and Papa karma have to be removed. Both have to be made zero. Why? As long as any karma exists, even if Punya karma exists, one has to take another birth to experience that Punya karma. So therefore, both karmas have to be removed. He is the one who removes those karmas. So that is what they are glorifying in him, right? May that, nature of removing ahankara in him be protected forever. In other words, for ever and ever, may you always remove these ahankarams associated with jivatmas. May forever and ever, you always subdue the mind of jivatmas who are trying to attain you. May forever and ever, you always, remove the karmas, the punya and papa karmas, which by themselves they cannot remove, which only by your grace you can remove them. Only, may you do that forever and ever for the jivas who are trying to attain you. Then, the impressions that are present in the form of Vatsasura and Kapithasura, right? They are the ones who are representing the impressions that are present, because even though these external karmas are removed, those vasanas will make us commit those activities again, right? Again, all these things will be generated. So therefore, may you also remove those vasanas that are present in us. You are the one who removes those vasanas too. And then you are the one who not only subdues the external enemies, but also internal enemies, right? These deep feelings thinking that I am the enjoyer of everything. These kinds of feelings should go away, right? You are the one who removes those kinds of feelings as well. You are the one who makes us realize that everything is meant for you, that you are the ultimate person who is to be worshipped through every activity that anybody performs, right? So that is the thing that one has to understand. Then they are trying to say that after glorifying so much about him, they are trying to divert that attention to the instruments that are present near him so that that drishti may not fall on him. Right? This is another level of protection that they are trying to do. And then they are saying, we are coming and singing about you because we want to meditate on how much you are capable of doing for us to deliver all of us. Right? Now, not because we are meditating that you have to deliver us, not because we have come to you that you have to deliver us. Delivering us is just something that you do out of your own grace. So it is that grace that we are seeking is what they are praying. With this, we will try to, pray to the lotus feet of Andal for blessing us with this beautiful Pasuram and conclude here. Andal Thiruvadigile Sharanam, Imperumana Thiruvadigile Sharanam, Periyajir Thiruvadigile Sharanam, Jai Sriman. Anybody wants to share anything more that they have? Adiyan Abhishek Swami.
Swami. Thank you, Swami, so much. Very beautiful explanation. I have two things, Swami. One is I just wanted to make a note here. Like I heard from another Upanyasam that here when Ndal says on Kayyil Vel Potri, the it seems that Andal is still remembering from the very first Pasuram that that veil is none other than from Nandagopal's veil, Kurvel. She's trying to remember that you have the same one, same your father gave you that veil or something like that. So that's a beautiful thing that I got remembered. So I mean, the other one I had was actually a question. You mentioned like when he's lifting the Govardhan, he's depicting the Vatsalyam towards not just his devotees but also towards Indra, who is also supposed to be like his child, right? Basically, Indra is also his child.
Right.
Why is that considered Vatsalyam? Why not other, like when he's killing asuras or other things? Even asuras are technically in asura. There is also he is there inside them also. That Jivatma also there is Paramatma in there.
Yes.
When he's killing that asura, any asura for that matter, he's punishing them, yes, but he's also making sure that he's like uh, giving them a chance to like basically reset their like behaviors and like give them a chance to like be born again later on whenever he thinks wants to do. Why is that not considered as Vatsalyam?
Yes, that's a very good question, Abhishek. Right. So that is also Vatsalyam, because if you look at Ramavataram, for instance, it is his Vatsalyam towards Ravana that made him give him chance after chance after chance till the last moment. Even after everything was defeated, Rama still sent him away thinking that I'll give him one more chance. But Ravana was such a jiva who was never willing to yield. So then the next step has to be adopted, right? The first step is to somehow see, at least if this jiva will surrender, right? Now, all the asuras that we are talking about here, they are already in that last phase where they are not going to yield to anything, right? For instance, Putana, she knows that this person, when she came to give him poisoned milk, she knew very well that this person is capable of destroying the entire universe, right? At that point, did she surrender? She could have done that, saying, no, I realized who you are. Please forgive me that I've come to you to do this kind of bad activity. Please forgive me. In this way, she didn't surrender, but she decided to go ahead with her plan. But Paramatma is so merciful that, yes, for her, this kind of forgiving will not work. But with people like Indra, he cannot immediately adopt that, because Indra is occupying a certain position, a very responsible position in the universe, and he cannot take such, rash decisions with people like Indra, because that will have an impact on all the other devatas that are reporting to him. So therefore, he has to think very carefully how to deal with Indra. In other words, Paramatma knows what specific medicine works for each jiva. Therefore, he's called the medicine Bheshajam and Bhishak also in Vishnu Sahasranam. That he is the medicine and he is also the doctor. He is someone who knows what is the specific medicine that works for every single jiva. So therefore, Paramatma, it is his very same Vatsalyam, even in the case of all of these asuras, which have made him decided, which have made him come to the conclusion that they have to be killed, and that is the best thing that he can do for them. And despite killing Putana, he immediately gave her moksham. The same position of mother is what he gave her in Vaikuntha, right? Who can be more, more compassionate than Krishna, who gave the position of mother to Putana in Vaikuntha, right? She who came to kill him, right? The end result was the same, but no other thing worked on her. Forgiving her, leaving her aside, those sort of things do not work on Putana. So this is, you know, in one sense, this is the Vatsalya. But in the case of Indra, there is a certain lesson using Indra he wanted to teach to the entire world, right? That lesson is what? Is this, that, things are not, people should not become puffed up when, they are in a position of enjoyment, thinking that everything is meant for their enjoyment. They have to be conscious and recognize that it is Paramatma's grace that gave him that position. Any of us, all of us, the positions that we are in are a result of Paramatma's grace. When we are trying to enjoy, we should look at all of the enjoyments that we are getting as the grace of Paramatma. And with that gratitude towards Paramatma, we can experience these things. This is what Ishavasya Upanishad says, that Tena Tyaktena Bhunjita Magrita Kasyasvit Dhanam. Ishavasya Midagam Sarvam. That is the recognition one has to do. Everything belongs to him, right? Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat, right? Tena Tyaktena Bhunjitaha. You can experience, no problem. But Tyaktena Bhunjitaha. That means by renouncing things to him, by accepting that these things belong to him, then you consume them. Then that will not become, then kurvaneveha karmani jijivishe chaitagam shamaha says, then you can live for any number of years. You can happily enjoy everything, no problem. But you consciously acknowledge that the things that I am enjoying are a grace of Paramatma. He has placed me in this position, and it is with his grace that I am able to consume all these. Then it is not going to contaminate us. But when we falsely think that everything is meant for our enjoyment, we will become puffed up, and one fine day that will turn into a demoniac tendency. That is what happened in the case of Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, and all these people, right? So he wanted to check Indra's behavior right there. So therefore, he decided to take that route. I hope I was able to clarify, Abhishek Swami, your doubt. And thanks for reminding that other perspective also about that spear, right? We are also told how that spear in the hands of Krishna is like Upadesha Mudra in the hands of Acharyas, right? It is that Upadesha Mudra in the hands of Acharyas which is capable of removing all these, ahankaram, subduing the manas, removing our karmas, all these through the Upadesham that they give. They try to subdue all these things. So Krishna is also an Acharya because Krishna Mande Jagat Guru, right? He's the Acharya of Bhagavad Gita. And he's also the internal Acharya as the Antaryami of all of us. So this is the other perspective that is also represented using, Krishna carrying that spear, right? That as the Antaryami, he's always protecting all of us. May protection or Mangalam be offered to that Antaryami Tattva in his Upadesham, with which he's trying to do all these things. So that is also the other perspective here. Thank you, Swami, for reminding that too. Again, Nappinaji, please go ahead.
Jai Narayana Swami. I have one thing to share and one question to ask.
Yes,
I was hearing to some Upanyasams where they said our Alvars have a special love for Krishna just because of these reasons, because he was such a small kid or a small baby and he has to endure so many Rakshasas, he has to face so many Rakshasas, he has to face so many things, and he was separated from his father and mother. So so the Alvars have a special love for Krishna. Even though Rama is as special as Krishna, they have a soft corner for Krishna because of all those reasons. They said, Swami. And another thing I also heard from an Upanyasam is when we go to take darshan of Perumal, as soon as we see him, the first thing that we should say is Pallandu Pallandu. Like, as soon as we see Perumal, rather than saying anything else like Shiakantai or whatever, everything else, as soon as we see Perumal, our first word should be like Pallandu Pallandu, like you. Mangala Shasanam to Perumal. So those two things I heard from other Upanyasam, to do Mangala Shasanam for Perumal all the time. The third, I have a question now, Swami. Again, this is from another Upanyasam. It could be my plausible memory that I'm not able to remember everything. But the Upanyasakar was saying Rama Avataram was showing Saulabhyam, was a specific case of Saulabhyam, like a special case of Saulabhyam. And Krishna Avataram is Saushilyam, where Rama did come down. He was very accessible, but he was accessible to someone of his stature. Like Guha was a leader of his group.
Right.
Vibhishana was a king, or not a king, but the king's brother, who was at the same stature as Rama. So Ram and things like that happened wherever Rama met his friends, or Sugriva, for example. He was another king of the forest, right? So he was accessible, but he was accessible to those of his same stature. Whereas Krishna, he came down like Saushilyam, like he came all the way down, and he mingled with Ayarpadis, who does not differentiate the left hand versus the right hand.
Right.
So is that what I said is a correct understanding, or how?
Yes. So ultimately, both of them are, good in Saulabhyam. But like even in Rama Mangalam, we say Saulabhya Paripurnaya Sattvatriktaya Mangalam, right? So, but when it is told, we are told how Krishna has displayed much more accessibility compared to Rama, because in general, Rama was Chakravarti Tirumaganar. So he was the son of a king. So everybody to petition in front of him, to meet him and so on, they had to go through so many security checks and so on. But Krishna, he himself used to come out every day. He himself used to roam around every day. He was accessible to everybody at any time, even to animals, even to ordinary people like Ayarpadis and so on. He was completely accessible to everybody. So in that sense, it is described by acharyas sometimes that Rama, there was a certain deficiency that Perumal was feeling with respect to Rama Avataram, that, although he appeared, because he appeared in the family of, a Kshatriya, his accessibility was limited to people. If people had to meet him, they had to go through so many checks and so on. So he decided to make himself even more accessible through Krishna Avataram. In the Avataram after that, generally, whenever Perumal takes, sometimes our Purvacharyas describe how every time Perumal takes an avataram, he tries to rectify some of the things that he has done in the previous avataram. If he feels that he has, there were some limitations that were associated with the previous avataram, he tries to make sure that that limitation is overcome in the next avataram. Of course, these are all anubhavams. We should not take, Perumal to have a certain limitation, but, it's just a beautiful way our Purvacharyas experience his glory. Right? And that's the reason why in Krishna Avataram he made himself even more accessible. And in Kali Yugam, he made himself even more accessible in the form of Archamurti to all of us. In this way, his accessibility is just increasing without seeing any qualification.
Adiyan Swami, beautifully explained, Adiyan Swami. One more thing, Swami. When you were mentioning that we see everyone, Indra or Varuna or anyone, Indra means we are addressing actually the Narayana, Shriman Narayana inside them, right, Swami? So Adiyan felt that the one easy way to do it is when men do Surya Namaskaram, or we can also do Surya Namaskaram. We do says Savitru Mandala Madhyavarti Narayana. So that is what we chant every day, right, Swami? So that way we can easily relate that to whenever we address or pray Surya Bhagavan, it is the Narayana inside him that we pray to.
Yeah, that is why it is called Aditya Hridayam, right? Because it is addressing the person who is Antaraditya Vidya. The Brahma Vidya is Antaraditya Vidya. That we are all talking about the person who is inside the Aditya, right? The Brahman who is inside the Aditya, who is being addressed. There is a certain section in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad called Antaryami Brahmanam. Antaryami Brahmanam talks about the person who is residing as the Antaryami of all these devatas, Antaryami of all the Indriyas, Antaryami of all the, Panchamahabhutas. So it is talking about that tattvam which is existing as the antaryami of everything.
Adiyan Swami.
Adiyan. Yes, Mithila.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So, if Anna want to say, like, basically the inner meaning of all these pasarams to us. Why did she like construct this external situation where she had to go to like Krishna's house and all? Why didn't she just tell us the inner meaning straight?
Because this is a very beautiful question, Mithila. Thank you for asking this. So, the reason many times it's not just Andal, even if we look at Ramayanam, Bhagavatam, and all these things, externally there are stories, but internally all these stories are trying to talk about the Jiva, Paramatma, the glory of Paramatma, the very tiny nature of Jiva, and how the Jiva has to eventually surrender to Paramatma, and what are the obstacles that come in the path of this surrendering, and how Paramatma himself becomes the means in removing these obstacles and taking the jiva back to Paramatma. This is the inner meaning of all the scriptures, no matter what we take, right? Whether it's Ramayana, Mahabharata, or Puranas, any Puranam, any pastime in the Puranam, everywhere we come across the same internal meanings. But externally, we are told this way. Why? One reason is this is something that is guhyam, or this is a confidential knowledge that is to be given only to those who really want Paramatma. For others, they can just enjoy the external meaning, because not everybody immediately wants Paramatma, right? Different people want different things in this world. That is the reason why the Veda also gives different fruits, right? Previously, we discussed the example of a store. Just like a store has so many things. Why does a store have so many things? Because not all the customers want the same thing, right? So therefore, the store has a wide variety of assortment. Similarly, depending upon the gunas of people, people who are in extreme degree of sattva guna, they want to attain moksham. They want to attain paramatma. Those who are in pure sattva gunam. Those who have rajogunam and tamogunam, they have so many other desires. They want to enjoy so many other things. They want politics out of something. They want, a comedy out of something. They want beauty out of something. They want romance out of something. In this way, they want to experience so many things. So scriptures also seemingly present all these things. If you look at Mahabharata, for instance, it is full of politics, right? It's full of, war and so on. But the internal meaning of Mahabharata is literally Bhakti Shastra. It is describing bhakti, and certain incidents in Mahabharatam, like Draupadi's incident and so on, they're purely talking about Sharanagati and the glory of Sharanagati, right? Similarly, Ramayana, if you take Ramayana, Ramayana is entirely Sharanagati Shastram, completely from beginning to end. But externally, it appears like a love story of a certain lover who has lost his loved one, and the story is all about how the hero goes in search of the heroine. So, for someone who wants to enjoy that external aspect of it, for them, the external story exists like that. But the internal meaning is only hidden by the original author for people who want to get that internal meaning. And the power, however, of these pasurams or of Ramayana or Mahabharata is that even by just reciting these things without even fully knowing the meaning of it, to know the meaning of it fully means to understand the internal meaning of it. But even without knowing it, externally, if they recite the story also, it is capable of giving all kinds of benefits to the people. It is capable of removing so many miseries, so many papa karmas. That is the power with which these particular authors, right, are alvars, or maharshis. They have packed these pasurams, or the scriptures that they have written, that even external recitation, even that external story, if someone just recites it, if someone just meditates on it, external meaning also, it is capable of removing so many papams, right? But that internal meaning is hidden for those who really want it. Just like, you get pearls inside shells. For those who want to just play with different external shells, for them those shells are available. For those who are in that mood of discovering, for them they are able to find the pearls which are hidden inside the shells. Is that helpful to you, Mithila?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Arian Swami, can I add something?
Yes, please go ahead, Hariniji.
So the the first word under is common for all the first 5 lines. Under means that day. On that day, AnRivvulagam adi potri. On that day, you had like Thiruvikrama Avataram, and you took 3 steps. Under Sendrangu Tennilangai.
Oh, okay.
Andru,
Okay.
like, yeah, Andru Ponnachagaram Udithai. Andru Kandru Kunila Virindai. Andru Kundru Kudiyadathai. So Andru means on that day you did this. So that Andru is common for all 5 lines. And Indra means today, right?
Yeah.
So Andal says Indriyam Mando Mirangelo Rembavai. So the perspective you told was like Ippode Emmai Niratelo Rembavai. Remember when
Right.
So do it right now. My mind may change later, right? But in this perspective, what Andal is trying to say, this again is one of the perspectives I heard from Velukudi Swami. So, Andru you did that. Andru Ivulagam Malandai Adipotri. On that day, we were not there. Indriyam Mando Mirangelo Rembavai. So, you have to connect the Indriyam Mando Mirangelo Rembavai to every line. All the first 5 lines. So, when you took Trivikram Avataram on that day, we were not there to take the darshan of you. So, Indriyam Mando, but we see, that is why we have like Archavadara Murti, right? Because we cannot. So, Indriya Mandam, today we have come. So, please bless us. Andre Sendrilangai, Setrai Thiral Potri. So, Andre, when you did that, on that day when you did that, we were not there to help you. Like how Sugriva Sena helped Rama, right? But Indriya Mandam, today we have come. So, please bless us. So, this is one other perspective that Velukudi Swami explained. So, Andru, you did all these, but we were not there. We are here only today. So, Indriyam Mandom. So, please come down for us. And then Iranga means like not the literal meaning is come down, but Iranga means like she is asking from the heart. Like let your heart melt for us. So that like we are present only today. So that like how Andal explains, that applies to us also. Because I used to jokingly tell my friends that I was not there when Tyagaraja Swami was here, right? In the sense, maybe I was there, but maybe I was his older brother Jappesha who threw Rama and Kaveri. Right? So, see, that is why I am here today, right? I did some wrong in my Purva Janma, so that is why we are here, right? So, when we think in this perspective, maybe we were there when Ramavataram happened, but maybe we were on Ravana's side and we were there when Krishnavataram happened. Maybe I was a Shishubala at that time, right? So, Andal is saying that Andal is saying Indriya Mandam, but when we think about it, we have to pray like Andre. Maybe I was there, but my mind and my the way how I looked at you was from Kamsa's side or from Ravana's side or from Hiranyakashipu's side, right? But Indriya Mandam, today my mind have changed. So you have blessed me. So today, because you helped me to change my mind, you please like come down and bless. So that's like one other beautiful perspective that
yes, absolutely. Very beautiful, lady.
And and then one other thing, like I really like the way how you said. So Krishna sat in his Simhasanam in the Marimalai Murinjal, and then he kept one leg over the other, right? So they happened to see the feet. They saw it is red. So what happened, right? So in this one, let me just quickly on my video just to. Sorry, I am outside. I am in the car trying to.
Grateful that you are like this and still hearing.
No, I am on road only. I am on road only all the time. I am doing like Uber driver job for him. But anyway. So, think this is feet. This again is from Velukudi, okay? So, this is feet. This is his feet. AnRivvulagam Malandai Adipotri, he measured with this part, the bottom part. Ponnachagaram Udaitai, he used this part, the soccer part. Like how when they play soccer, Udaita means he needs to kick, right? So, that kick, sorry, he just came in. Hi, Achyutan. So when he kicked, so that is this
The
part.
top part,
So,
yes.
Yeah, the top part. So Velukudi Swami said, when we go to temple, the first thing, as Napinai said, the first thing we need to have darshan is Perumal's Tiruvadi,
Yes.
feet, right? But in all the temples that we go so far, we are able to have darshan of only this part,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
the top part.
Right.
So Andal wanted to make sure that we are also thinking about this part of the feet. So that is why, like, she's mentioning both the part of the feet. So don't when we say feet, it is
You
like
shouldn't just
complete
meditate
feet.
on this and go away. Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, I'm going to like turn the video off. So that is like one other perspective that Velukudi Swami, like, he explained. I thought I can just share it here.
Yes.
Thank you so
Thank you
much
for sharing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything
I
else?
think even if so many Upanyasakars tell their perspective, even still there is one another perspective I believe there is there. It's just so amazing that how Andal could come up with such loaded words.
Yes, absolutely, Napinaji. Like, after reading so many things, I'm still like missing out on some points and I'm learning more. Like, that's what is making me wonder, just the way you are, you're expressing, right? Every day I keep wondering that there is so much more to it. Like, so much beauty, so much depth in all these passages.
Great, Swami.
Adiyan. Okay, if anybody else has anything they can share, otherwise we will conclude for today.
Swami, Adiyan taking a leave with your permission, Swami.
Thank you all. Jai Srimanarayana. Tomorrow's class will most likely be at the same time, but if it gets delayed, I will let you all know. Thank you. Jai Srimanarayana.
Jai Shrimanarayana.